All right, everyone, we start off today with an interesting story here. Donald Trump suggesting that if he's reelected, he might scrap the income tax entirely. Like, there would be no federal income tax. It would be entirely released to tariffs. So the idea is that the money for the government would be generated, but it wouldn't be through taxing the population directly. It would be on taxing the importation of goods into the United States. So anytime that an object moves, like let's say you have a can of beans come to the United States, and its real on-paper value is 10 cents, the wholesale or something. But then you'd tariff it maybe to 20 cents or something like that. Now, there are problems with a tariff system, just to be clear. And you can also tariff exports as well. Number one, you're waging a trade war. Number two, if you're tariffing exports, you can throttle the U.S. market. So it's not necessarily the greatest idea in the world, actually. But eliminating the income tax, absolutely, I support that unequivocally. There should be a small flat tax on people above a certain income, of course. And other taxes will have to exist. But I think that the real goal should be simply to remove as many taxes as possible. Eliminating the income tax is fine. I don't see the need to replace it with tariffs. It's possible to raise enough money for a shoestring government, which is really all you need at the federal level anyway, without excessive taxation. The fact is that we're simply overburdened with taxes and regulations. If you were to cut a bunch of the regulations, slash the bureaus, if you went Javier Milei mode, you could run a surplus quite easily in the United States. It is possible to do so. Therefore, on the tariff side, I'm a little bit iffy. It sort of depends what level, what you're tariffing, import versus export. Those things would be meaningful. The devil would be in the details. But eliminating the income tax, yes, I mean, it's not even legal to begin with, according to some people. Now, if you look at the history of the implementation of the federal income tax, it's a little bit iffy on the legal side, actually. It's also very unhelpful and totally unfair. For example, there are elements of the federal income tax that do not make a lot of sense. It is true that if a person has a whole lot of assets and things like that, they are taxed less than a person that makes a salaried wage, for example. You might make enough to get taxed at 20%, but then your boss is paying 10% effective simply because they own a business, simply because the business tax bracketing and so forth is different. Self-employment's probably the biggest con of all. And the Biden administration, see, this would help me a whole lot. I can absorb the increased cost of goods if I'm keeping all of that money to myself that I would pay in income taxes. It would be easy. It would be a huge windfall to me. So on my end, the tariffs won't directly impact me. If anything, I can get a whole bunch of goods going, and you get a more domestic economy going because, it would disincentivize trade necessarily. So you'd have more mining and forestry and shit within the United States itself. That'd be fine. The self-employment tax, though, under this would go away. The self-employment penalty for those that aren't making revenue off their online content. I was very surprised the first year that I made any money at all. And it wasn't very much. I think I made $13,000 or thereabouts. That was the first, that was when I first released books early on in my content creation. I made like $13,000 between books and donations, for example, that year. This is before the 2016 election when my income got boosted substantially. I was surprised to learn that despite the fact that I was making less than a burger flipper working a semi-part-time job, I actually owed over $1,000 in federal taxes. I'm like, what? What the fuck? I thought that when people made a little bit of money, typically they got money back from the government. I don't even ask for that. Just let me keep the money that I already made. Nope. You get hit with a 15% penalty, actually, across the board. I think it's 15.4% now. Look for the Biden admin to raise that, by the way, if he gets reelected. They'll do everything that they can. They've also been attacking the gig economy by trying to unionize everyone who's self-employed. Well, I don't want to be part of a YouTubers union or part of a Rumble union or something. I just want to make my fucking videos. Leave me the fuck alone. I self-publish books on Amazon. That doesn't make me an Amazon employee. I don't need a union representative. It's not of interest to me. And eliminating the income tax is a good idea. It would be helpful for me. It would help all of your favorite content creators, I assure you, in a big way, depending on their income level. One thing, though, is that you're going to have to make up much of that money elsewhere. The best thing that you can do is simply cut down the amount of government bureaucracy, and then you can offset the tax rate thereby. If you eliminate the income tax, you could have a flat tax, again, or consumption tax. That's probably not great for your economy. Tariffs are a double-edged sword. They can be helpful, they can be unhelpful. You could grow a more domestic economy, but at the same time, again, there's that nuance that, it could affect the poorest among us unless you have some sort of subsidy system for the goods that now cost more, because some of those imported goods would. You'd have like a Made in America movement. Ultimately, I believe that a civic construct needs to cause that to come about more than a government regulation or a government proposal or a bill or something like that. Support the idea, though, of getting rid of the income tax. Yeah, Trump, that's a pretty cool idea. I think that it's a good one. Again, it's only quasi-legal to begin with that there is a federal income tax. Yeah, I know, they graduated it and there's brackets and all these things to try to fix the system. It's a non-working system, though. Just implement those other things and call it a day. Just don't put huge tariffs on things that the United States can't develop on its own. For instance, we got a lot of lumber. We've got a lot of crops. We're the world's major food exporter. The Netherlands, where I'm currently at, is number 2, despite its tiny size, which is hilarious to me. Net exporter of pretty much every good that can be grown in the country. Can't imagine how much Swiss chard, which is funny because this isn't Switzerland, is exported every year. Unfortunately, it's hard to get okra. But if you can make it domestically, then you should incentivize that. A tariff is fine. If you can't make it domestically, so if it's, microchips, semiconductors, or something like that, it's probably not the greatest idea in the world to tariff them. That's about all. Peace out.